Peter Scully's Daisy's Destruction. Peter Scully, born in Australia in 1963, once lived what looked like a normal life. He was a property developer, had a wife, 2 children, and lived in a quiet suburb. But behind the picture of stability, trouble was brewing. Scully was caught in a massive real estate scam that cheated people out of millions. When the walls began to close in, instead of facing justice, he chose to disappear. In 2011, he abandoned his family and fled to the Philippines, a country known for its beautiful islands but also marked by extreme poverty, where countless children struggled to survive on the streets with little hope for the future. Peter saw this as his chance to hide and start something dark. He moved to places like Cagayan de Oro and Malibeli on the island of Mindanao, renting cheap houses in poor neighborhoods. He used fake names like Peter Russell or Peter Rydell to blend in. Pretending to be a kind foreigner, he promised food, school, and a better life to kids from struggling families. But behind closed doors, he was building a secret world of horror, using the internet's darkest corners, the hidden part called the dark web, to sell videos of terrible things. This wasn't just any crime. It showed how the internet can connect evil people across the world, turning pain into profit without anyone knowing. Peter pulled in local women as girlfriends and helpers, like Lizelle Margallo and Carm Ann Alvarez, who came from tough backgrounds themselves. They helped him find these innocent kids, often orphans or street children as young as 18 months old. He set up hidden spots in his homes for filming, chaining kids up and keeping them isolated. The internet made it all possible. He created a site called No Limits Fun, where sick people from anywhere could pay big money, up to $10,000, to watch or even request custom videos of extreme hurt. It was a nightmare hidden in plain sight, exploiting the poor and the powerless, all fueled by the web's reach. What Peter did next breaks your heart and boils your blood. It's one of the worst ways the internet has ever been used to hurt the innocent. He and his helpers lured in at least 75 kids, mostly girls from poor families, with sweet promises that turned into traps. Once inside his home, these children faced unimaginable pain. Peter raped and tortured them, filming it all for his dark web business. He called it Hurtcore, meaning videos of real torture and suffering, not fake stuff. The most infamous one was Daisy's Destruction, a series of videos showing the brutal abuse of a tiny 18-month-old girl named Liza, who they nicknamed Daisy. In these heartbreaking films, they did awful things like forcing her into degrading acts, hanging her upside down, and causing injuries that scarred her for life, all while the camera rolled. Peter directed it like a twisted movie, with his accomplices helping to hold the kids down or even joining in. One girl, an 11-year-old named Cindy, or Carmen, suffered so much that they strangled her to death after months of torment, then buried her body right under the floor of one of his rented homes in Surigao City. Another brave girl named Rosie was made to dig her own grave and was buried alive, but somehow she survived the ordeal. These weren't one-time acts. Kids were kept for weeks or months, chained up, starved, and terrified every day. Peter advertised on his site to a global crowd of monsters, letting them pay to see or even suggest worse things. It was a business of pure evil, syndicating child porn and trafficking humans like objects. The internet let him reach buyers in Europe, Australia, and beyond, behind codes and encryption. Thinking about these kids, scared, alone, crying for help that didn't come, it's enough to make you want to hug your own loved ones even tighter. This crime didn't just destroy lives, it showed how the web can amplify the darkest parts of humanity, turning one man's sickness into a worldwide network of pain. But evil like this can't hide forever, and Peter's world came crashing down thanks to brave survivors and heroes who wouldn't give up. It started in 2012 when Daisy's Destruction leaked onto dark web forums, shocking police around the world. The video had words in Cubano, a language from the Philippines, which helped detectives trace it back there. Australian police, who were already after Peter for his old fraud, teamed up with Dutch investigators in the Philippine National Bureau of Investigation. They shared tips and photos of Peter under his fake names. The big break came in September 2014, when two amazing girls around 9 and 12 years old, sometimes called Angel and Queenie, escaped from one of his houses in Besa. They had been chained, abused, and even forced to dig their own graves, but they had found strength to run and tell the police everything. Those photos matched, and suddenly the net closed in. Raids on his home uncovered videos, computers, and even the buried body of little Cindy, proving the horrors. On February 20th, 2015, Peter was arrested in Besa, caught red-handed. His helpers were nabbed too, even when a fire later damaged some evidence. Enough was left to seal his fate. The arrest wasn't just luck, it was global teamwork, using the same internet that hid him to track him down through clues and shared intelligence. Hearing how these kids' courage led to justice fills you with hope amid the darkness, reminding us that good people fighting together can stop even the worst online monsters. Besa Mafia Murder for Hire Service. There's a hidden part of the internet that search engines like Google can't reach, a place where people believe they can buy anything, even a murder. This was the dark web in the mid-2010s, a shadowy world accessible only through special browsers like Tor, where illegal marketplaces thrived and lawlessness felt untouchable. After the FBI shut down a huge dark web marketplace called Silk Road in 2013, scammers saw their chance. They created fake websites to trick desperate or angry people out of their money. One of the most chilling was Besa Mafia, a site that popped up around 2015, claiming to offer hitmen for hire. It looked professional, with creepy pictures of masked men, and promises of clean, secret killings for anyone who paid in Bitcoin. The site said it was run by the Albanian Mafia, using the word Besa, which means honor in Albanian, to sound legit. People from all walks of life, heartbroken spouses, jealous exes, or even creeps targeting kids, found this site and thought they could solve their problems by paying for a murder. The mastermind, hiding behind the name Yura, made it all seem so real, but it was a lie that broke hearts and destroyed lives. Besa Mafia wasn't just a website, it was a heartless scam that played with people's darkest emotions. Here's how it worked. Someone with a grudge would sign up, share details about their target, like their name, address, or daily routine, and send Bitcoin anywhere from $5,000 for a simple hit to $20,000 for something more complicated, like a staged accident. Yura would reply promising the job was underway, sending fake updates like the hitman's on the way, or even gruesome photos to prove the deed was done. But it was all fake. No one was ever killed by Besa Mafia. Instead, Yura pocketed millions in Bitcoin, sometimes asking for more money for extra costs, or just disappearing when customers got suspicious. The site made over $6 million, leaving behind a trail of broken trust. The worst part? Some people, furious that their hit didn't happen, decided to take matters into their own hands. Take Amy Allwine, a kind-hearted dog trainer from Minnesota. Her husband Steven wanted her gone because of his affairs and their church's strict rules. He paid over $12,000 to Besa Mafia, demanding her death look like an accident. When nothing happened, he drugged her with a scary chemical and shot her himself in 2016, trying to make it look like suicide. Others, like Christy Felkins in Nevada or Ron Ilg in Spokane, paid thousands to kill exes or spouses, only to get scammed and later face jail for their intentions. Besa Mafia didn't just steal money, it pushed people to the edge, turning their pain into real-world tragedy. The truth about Besa Mafia came to light because of one brave man, Chris Montario, a British hacker with a big heart. In 2016, while digging into dark web scams, he found Besa Mafia and saw right through its lies. Sloppy coding, fake photos, and Yura's broken English gave it away. Chris hacked the site, uncovering hundreds of orders with names, addresses, and chilling messages. He didn't stop there, he warned victims, tipped off police, and worked with journalists to expose the scam. His efforts saved lives, but Yura fought back, trying to frame Chris by planting his name in the site's data, and even getting him wrongly arrested in the UK. Thankfully, Chris was cleared and kept fighting. Meanwhile, TV shows like CBS's 48 Hours dug into cases like Amy Allwine's murder, linking her husband's Bitcoin payment to Besa Mafia. By 2018, police worldwide were arresting people who'd placed orders, from the US to Spain and Switzerland. In 2022, US agents tracked Euro's Bitcoin trails to Eastern Europe, and Romanian police raided 5 men tied to the site, charging them with money laundering and encouraging murder. While Euro slipped away, the arrest sent a message. You can't hide forever. Stephen Alwine got life in prison for killing Amy. Christy Felkins and Ron Ilg faced years behind bars for their plots. Besa Mafia's scam showed the internet's darkest side, but it also proved that heroes like Chris and determined cops could shine a light, bringing justice to those who thought they could buy evil online. Imagine a 15-year-old kid named Eric Taylor, sitting alone in a small apartment in Long Beach, California, surrounded by the hum of his computer. It's the early 2010s, and the internet is like the Wild West, full of possibilities but also danger. Eric's neighborhood is rough, with crime lurking around every corner. His mom works long hours, leaving him with little supervision, just him and his glowing screen. Eric's not your typical teen. He's a high school dropout, a loner who finds his home online. By age 12, he's already messing around in gaming chat rooms, figuring out how to outsmart other players with tricks he learns from the internet. Soon, he's not just playing games, he's diving deep into the dark world of hacking, calling himself Cosmo the God. Eric joins a group called UG Nazi, a group of young hackers who want to shake up the internet. They're loud, they're bold, and they're about to unleash chaos. A teenager with the power to bring giants to their knees. They were some of the most jaw-dropping internet attacks ever. He didn't need fancy code. He used his charm and quick thinking to trick people into giving him access to their accounts. Picture him on the phone, pretending to be someone else, sweet-talking customer service at companies like Amazon, Apple, PayPal, and even Microsoft. With a fake name and a made-up story, he'd slip into their systems like a digital ghost. One of his worst hits was a journalist named Matt Honan. Cosmo and his crew hacked Matt's Apple and Amazon accounts, wiped his phone and laptop clean, and took over his Twitter. Matt lost precious memories and work. It was devastating, and Cosmo did it just to prove he could. Then there was the massive data leak on a site called expose.su. Cosmo and UG Nazi posted personal details of huge names: Donald Trump, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, and even Kim Kardashian, sharing their social security numbers, addresses, and credit card info for the world to see. They didn't stop there. They crashed websites like the CIA's and the Department of Justice with attacks that flooded their servers, and they even messed with the UFC's site just because they didn't like a law called SOPA. But the scariest part? Cosmo was behind swatting. Fake 911 calls that sent armed police to innocent people's homes, including a TMZ reporter and even his own house, just for the thrill. They were attacks that hurt real people, caused millions in damages, and spread fear. Cosmo said he did it to expose weaknesses online, but to his victims, it felt personal and cruel. Cosmo thought he was untouchable, but his bold move made him a target. In June 2012, the FBI set a trap called Operation Card Shop. They created a fake website to lure hackers like Cosmo, watching their every move. Eric's online bragging didn't help. He'd shared too much, and rival hackers had already leaked his real name and address. One morning while he was sleeping, Long Beach police and a detective stormed his apartment. They grabbed his 3 netbooks and his iPod Touch, slapped handcuffs on the 15-year-old, and took him to juvenile hall. Cosmo wasn't alone. His UG Nazi partner, Mir Islam, got caught in New York trying to use a stolen ATM card. The FBI had tracked Cosmo's group since their expose.su leak hit big names in 2013. In court, Eric faced serious charges: credit card fraud, identity theft, bomb threats, and impersonation. Because he was a kid, he got a deal. No prison, but 6 years of probation until he turned 21. But he was banned from the internet unless his probation officer said okay. And even then, it had to be for school and supervised. For a kid who lived online, it was like losing a part of himself. Later in 2017, he got another 3 years of probation for the expose.su mess. But surprisingly, Cosmo turned his life around. By 2018, he was working in cybersecurity, helping companies fight hackers like his old self. His story is a wild ride, a teen who shook the internet, got caught, and found a way to make things right. EncroChat Gang's Torture Chambers. In the Netherlands lies a small, quiet village called Blameitonjorge. The air is calm, the streets are peaceful, and it feels like the kind of place where nothing bad could ever happen. But in June 2020, that sense of safety was shattered when something truly horrifying was uncovered in this seemingly peaceful corner of the world. Hidden inside a warehouse tucked away near the busy port of Rotterdam, police found 7 shipping containers that revealed a dark and terrifying secret. 6 of these containers were turned into prison cells, and one was a soundproof torture chamber, straight out of a nightmare. It was one of the worst crimes ever planned using the internet, made possible by a secret messaging app called EncroChat. This app, used by criminals all over the world, was like a digital hideout where they thought no one could catch them. But what they didn't know was that the police were already watching, and what they found shocked the world. Picture a cold metal chair like you'd see at the dentist's, but strapped with belts to hold someone down, surrounded by tools like pruning shears, scalpels, pliers, and even a hedge trimmer. This was a place built for pure evil, and it's hard to believe something so cruel was planned right under everyone's noses. The crime was as chilling as it gets. A gang of dangerous criminals was using EncroChat, an app they thought was unbreakable to plan kidnappings, torture, and worse. They were deep in the drug trade, moving massive amounts of cocaine through Europe's ports, and they didn't just want money. They wanted to send a message. If anyone crossed them, stole their drugs, or got in their way, they'd end up in that torture chamber. They called it the treatment room, or EB. Joking about it was no big deal, but their plans were terrifying. Messages on EncroChat showed them talking about tying people to the creepy dentist chair, using tools to cut off fingers and toes, or even waterboarding their victims. They didn't care who they hurt. Rival gang members, their families, even kids were fair game in their twisted world. The containers were lined with soundproof foil, so no one would hear the screams, and they had cameras to watch their prisoners from afar. The gang was led by a man from The Hague, linked to ruthless drug lord named Rido Tagi, and they were planning to use this torture chamber to settle scores and keep their drug empire running. It's heartbreaking to think about the fear and pain they were ready to inflict, all organized through secret chats on the internet. It was a glimpse into a world of pure cruelty. But here's where hope shines through the darkness. The police weren't sitting idly by. They were one step ahead. In a massive operation called 26 Lamont, French and Dutch police cracked EncroChat wide open. They figured out a way to sneak into the app and read the criminals' messages as they typed them, like breaking into a secret clubhouse. By April 2020, they saw the gang talking about their treatment room, and even sharing pictures of that awful chair and their torture tools. They learned the gang was building this horror show in Washwe Plantage and planning to kidnap people any day. The police moved fast, warning potential victims to hide and watching the warehouse closely. On June 22, 2020, they stormed in with an armed team, blasting open the doors and arresting 6 men, including the gang's leader. They found police uniforms, guns, bulletproof vests, stolen cars, and 24 kilograms of MDMA at another site nearby. The EncroChat hack was a game changer. It led to hundreds of arrests across Europe, from the Netherlands to the UK, and stopped countless crimes before they could happen. It's like the police turned the internet against the criminals, using their own secret app to bring them down. This case shows that even the worst crimes planned online can't stay hidden forever, and it gives us hope that justice can win, no matter how dark things get. These stories remind us that while the internet can bring people together, it can also be a tool for terrible evil. The question is, how safe are we really when so much can hide online? Which of these crimes shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true stories from the hidden world.